But one could argue that OTT doesn't have those fears. And I do want to understand from Tanuj and Alankrita whether the same level of bureaucratic permissions is actually needed to work in OTTs. But, when movies were at the big halls, people would say, koi bhi 10 log aake, they can disrupt the movie. But OTT is different. I can watch it on my phone in the privacy of my home. Why is a mob being able to get to even this platform? Namrata.
The mob does what the mob does. If you are going to believe in free speech, you cannot talk of censorship in any creative field, whether it's filmmaking or it's writing books or it's theater or it's even your own voice on social media. If you're going to be a free speech absolutist, you need to know and you need to accept that free speech is absolutely non-negotiable. But the problem is both the right and the left seem to have a problem with it. With the OTT platforms, Barkha, both with Netflix and with Amazon, we've seen very recently A Suitable Boy came into controversy, and that was on Netflix because there was a Muslim character kissing a Hindu girl, a Muslim boy kissing a Hindu girl in a Hindu temple, and Netflix was anti-national and anti-Hindu and all of that. With Amazon, we see it in Saif's Tandav now, and Saif has just come out of a controversy where he spoke about Adi Purush, where he said he wanted to portray the humane side of Ravan, and he was made to apologize for that just a month ago. And now with Tandav, they're made to apologize for the Krishna and the Shiv scene. And I think it's going to be unending. This sort of cultural terrorism in India, I think it's going to be unending. It has existed in other countries.
Do you use that phrase with circumspection, cultural terrorism?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because, we see it in other countries as well. It's not something that's completely new to India. It's not something that, that we've just inherited because we seem to have a right-wing government. I want to remind all of us that, it was Nehru who first amended the constitution, where he, where he brought about in 1951, he reversed the Patna High Court judgment, and he redefined freedom of expression. He said, and when Salman Rushdie says, freedom of expression cannot exist without the freedom to offend. We cannot speak of both in the same sentence because, they contradict each other and they cannot coexist. They cancel each other out, right? So my point is, even in Hollywood, we've had a Martin Scorsese film, Last Temptation of Christ. We've had Darren Aronofsky films. All of them have countered religious conversations, a pushback. Sure. But in India, the problem is the law. What does the government do to protect the, so to speak, mob from the creative thing? The problem is with us, we understand secularism, that all religions are important. Whereas, maybe in a modern democracy like the US or, France, where, laicity takes over everything else, which understands secularism as no religion matters.
What Alankrita is trying to make is that politically we have, and Namrata is making the same point, we have had a series of censorships. Rajiv Gandhi, I think, had to try to bring in that famous sort of bill to curtail media. There was Andhi modeled loosely on Indira Gandhi's life, and the response we saw to that. There was Salman Rushdie that got banned on the Congress watch. There was Majid Majidi that's just got banned on the Maharashtra government's watch, and now there is Tandav, Mirzapur. What's happening with Munawwar Farooqi? So I think we're distinguishing, Madhavan, between your argument of what we were civilizationally and what we are as a democracy. Namrata, you wanted to come in there? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to say something really important because I kind of agree with what Shantanu is saying, and I kind of agree with what Madhavan is saying, but they're coming back to the same point that, outrage, religious sensitivity, sentiment, it's like a gun. If it's in the hands of a cop, he's going to kill the bad guy. If it's in the hands of a terrorist, he's going to kill a civilian. If it's in the hands of a white cop, he's going to kill a black guy and just maybe say, ooh, but a gun is a gun is a gun. Should we not just do away with the gun altogether? And who else but Bollywood can bring about a legislative change if there is to be one? I mean, this is a very cash-rich industry. It is a great influencer. It's the original influencer. I mean, we're living also in a time where the Prime Minister needs a Bollywood superstar to take his message to the public. I mean, Munawwar Faruqui is not going to go to court, and he doesn't have the cash to, to fight the government, but Bollywood does. And with due respect to the Hindi cinema industry, because I love the films, and I'm fans of many actors and directors. But the point is, I'm a little tired of them behaving victims. They can bring about change. They can push the envelope, and they can change the country much more than just being artists, right? And I also want to come back to, I'm sorry, just remind you of Hugh Hefner, the Playboy pornographer. He funded so many civil rights movements, gay rights movements. He funded the rape kit. I mean, what could be, he used his money and gained his cultural freedom as well.